Coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. In a second, Joe Barresi, evil Joe Barresi, will give you some more of his incredible insights. And plus, we got a brand new contest. So let's tell you about that. Sign up right now, right away for the Pensado's Place Auto-Tune giveaway. You got to have this essential tool in your toolkit. It makes your vocal ability just go all through the charts. And now's your chance. All you have to do is enter your email. And for the next month, right here on Pensado's Place, you can win Autotune EFX. Plus be eligible for the grand prize, which is Autotune Vocal Studio. And that beast has Autotune Pro plus the AVOX suite of plugins. You've heard Autotune on Post Malone, Billie Eilish, Kanye, Cher, hell, you can even hear it on us. So Dave, tell us about the way you've used Autotune.
Okay.
You've been excited about this contest.
Yeah, I've used Autotune for a very, very, very long time. Getting pretty good at it, as you can hear right now.
Absolutely.
One of the ways I've always used it is I've put it before a reverb. And so I'm auto-tuning the vocal as it hits the reverb, and that gives you a real nice effect. It makes the vocal stand out. Also, I've tried it before delays. Another thing I do with it is if I want to enhance the amount of processing that you get when you're using Auto-Tune to create an effect, take an Auto-Tune plugin, put the vocal a little bit out of tune, 4, 5, 10, 12 cents out of tune, and then feed that to the effect, and it enhances the effect.
Oh, cool.
Those two things are kind of cool.
You're going to do an ITL on it, and there's so many other stuff. I mean, you can use it in live applications. You use real-time tracking. There's effects modules, patches by our friend Mike Dean and Jeff Rona, a bunch of other things.
The Mike Dean patches are good.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Pitch correction, obviously, harmony control, and they have a harmony engine, and it goes on and on. So how do you do it? Sign up is simple, easy. Go to antarestech.com/Pensado. You can see the link right below and enter your email. It is literally that easy. One winner will be announced each week right here on Pensado's Place, and the grand prize winner announced in the 4th week. So get those emails in right away, and we will start announcing this next week. Good for you, Antares. Speaking of winners, here are the winners of the iLOUD AUTUMN SWEEPSTAKES. They are Zach Gormely, yay, and Billy Patron. Now, Billy, I want you to know we had to discuss whether it was Patron or Patron. You might have been the heir to the liquor thing. But either way, congratulations to you both. And the rest of you, please sign up to win either a pair of these awesome iLOUDs, the MTMs or the iLOUD micro monitors. Good stuff. All you have to do to enter, go to bit.ly/iLOUD Pensado. That's bit.ly/iLOUD Pensado. We got 2 more weeks on this one, so also get it going. And for more information, sign up for our newsletter. Like, subscribe, and click notify if you would, and we thank you so much for that, as we do. Now, on the serious note, the world has been, life goes on, and the cycle of life is always something that has ups and downs. We lost a great one and a great friend last week. The amazing Mike Busby passed away at the age of 43. Felled by brain cancer. Dave, what's your Mike Busby input?
Well, we met Mike about 7, 8, 9 years ago, and he's been a fan of the show. He's always been there for us. His rise to success was meteoric, and who knows where he could have gone. It's such a tragedy to cut that short, He had a lot of great music in him, still left, I'm sure. It's not fun, Herb. We were losing a lot of good ones these days.
Yeah, Mike, beyond being supportive, Mike was the epitome of a genius. One, he was fearless musically. He had the ability to take an LA pop songwriter sensibility and infuse it in Nashville in a way that Nashville respected it. And he honored Nashville. He was a jazz guy and then became a commercial guy. And so many people who we all respect had ultimate respect for him. He was a genius in his head and brilliance in his heart and just a lovely guy. And we've heard from, Gwen Stefani and Maren Morris and Greg Wells, and the outpouring has been incredible. Mike, you were always there for us. In fact, Mike booked Summer NAMM for me this year with Luke Laird and Ross Kopperman. I called him. He was right there. He reached out for everybody. So, Bud, we love you. To your wife, Jessie, and 3 kids, what can we say? We send our Pensado arms to enfold you and embrace you through this tough time. And Mike Busby, or Busby as he's known, his legacy will never be forgotten.
That's true.
Absolutely. Okay, on to an incredible part 2, we think. Joe Barresi, all you can do is enjoy him and learn, right?
Evil Joe, man, he's my guy. He's my guy.
So please enjoy part 2 of Evil Joe Barresi. When you approach records, do you approach them differently? Is there, when you approach a Slipknot record versus a Tool record, does it have its own individual approach, or do you start from the same place and then figure it out along the way?
I think you do approach it differently, because a band like Tool is very built on intricate rhythms and dynamics. So being able to capture that, and if you go to tape, getting it above the noise floor, there's a lot of riding the volume control on the guitar down to 1 or 2, a lot of soft drumming. And then there's bands like the Bronx, who I just tracked the whole album in 16 days, where it's more of a punk rock thing. So if you start overthinking that, then you lose the essence of what that band is about. So it is on a band-to-band basis, but sometimes it's a song-to-song basis. I mean,
do you spend a lot of time in rehearsal when you're tracking a rock band to mix? So before you start?
I tried to, yeah. On this Tool record, I didn't spend any time because I was in the middle of mixing Alice in Chains at the time, and then they called and said, we'd like to start. I didn't really have any time to sit in rehearsal, but the previous record, 10,000 Days, I sat in for a good month, and I would write down the song structures and have my doctor beat and take tempo maps of where does it feel good today? It feels good here. Let me this section. And if I didn't understand anything, which was quite a bit, because I'm a 4/4 guy. They're playing stuff in 7, 11, 19, 21. Yeah. I mean, there's stuff on this record where Danny's playing 4/4 with his hands and 21 with his feet.
Jesus.
It's some of the most mind-blowing.
He's playing 7 against 8 a lot. In fact, 7 comes up a lot in that record.
It does. And then there's elements of 11. So you got the bar of 7 and the bar of 4, and you have that whole 11 feel going on. And it was funny, we were tracking at Henson, the bass player is like playing a riff, and I recorded it because it was an original thing. And I go, what is that? And he goes, I think it's a 19. And I'm like, why? You're 2 shy of 21. We got to keep in this 7 theme. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Unbelievable. Do you treat lead guitars and rhythm guitars differently? Like, is there a treatment on a rhythm guitar that?
I think for me, on rhythm guitars, I try to go with a little clearer. I think cleaner. You know, sometimes I make that mistake and it goes a little dirty. Sometimes you need a sound that's a little more forgiving. But for the most part, it's a little bit clearer. I also like to double the rhythm guitar, and some of this Tool record, there's actually guitar on the left and bass on the right for part of the songs because they're playing against each other. And then the bass moves to the middle, the guitar might go wide.
What was your vocal chain on Keenan's vocals?
We did the vocals.
Can you do the tracking and the mixing?
So the tracking part of Maynard, I actually went down to Arizona with Matt Mitchell, who's in Pussifer, and he had been doing some demos with Maynard ahead of time. I would feed them rough mixes as we progressed, and then Matt would drive down there and they would work on stuff. And then Matt and I went to Arizona, and Maynard loves the blue bottle, the big mic, and that was his main chain through a 1073 with an 1176. And I brought down some alternate chains that I set up. I had a Soyuz 17, which is super clear, beautiful mic. 67, which is a classic. And then SM7, which is the get right up on it, never blow it up.
Classic rock mic.
A couple of little handheld mics, a megaphone, things like that. And he would sing his parts, and I would comp at night and come back in the next day and maybe tweak a few things. But having the ability to change frequencies, basically, not the same microphone.
When you mixed, what did you do differently?
Then I took, after he tracked out the whole album in 6 days, actually, his vocal parts. And then I came back to my studio, and we had just came back to my studio at that point. So I was getting familiar with the tracks in my room. And then I'd spent a day a song for the most part, kind of maybe recomping some stuff and laying them out and then trying to come up with effects that they would be used in the mix, but weren't set and forget, like a reverb or a delay. So a lot of the weirder vocal stuff is guitar pedals. H9 with my foot on an expression pedal, manipulating as the song was being sung, and the Earthquaker Afterneath.
Yeah.
Did the plasma pedal get in there?
Not on the vocals, but it got in there on some of the weird. I mean, the solos on the record are so many, and some songs that are long, and some they might only be in there for 4 bars or something. But stuff like that, to me, it sounds cool and it's also inspirational. And the other pedal they have is the one that looks like the piano sustain pedal. I ended up using that on bass to have the bass hang over into the next section, so it could actually be done live. So it's a cool pedal too.
Do you ever do live stuff?
Like front of house live?
Yeah, or go out with the band or prepare
I've done it a couple times. That's the true art. I don't have that skill, but that is a true art, because that's
a lot of pressure on that first note.
Oh yeah, and then you really you want the vocal to be heard, and you kind of build your mix around the vocal. I've mixed quite a lot of live stuff, Soundgarden, Slipknot, a lot of things like that, but you really do have to build around the vocal.
A lot of people don't realize the drum tracking, that the way we track drums today. Mike DeSano is your favorite guy.
Yeah,
Can you
great.
explain why you would bring someone in to help you with the drums, and what that person does, and how important they truly are? Well,
like on the Tool record, Bruce Jacoby was the main drum tech, and John Nicholson filled in. But Bruce has been there since, first of all, we went to school together. He works for Remo now, but he's toured with some of the greatest drummers, and his knowledge of what a drum head sounds like, and watching the drummer hit and knowing you can go deeper or higher, good sense of pitch.
So he would tailor a snare, hit the head size and the type of snare to the drummer for that song.
Yeah, I mean, if I said I need more snap or less, or the floor tom is ringing too much, stuff like that, instantly always aware of what's happening and how the drummer's playing and hitting. And
how many typical snares would a drum tech bring?
Well, when Mike comes to the studio, he usually brings a rack of stuff. But Bruce, I don't know, Bruce might have brought a handful, but Danny had so many drums. And we essentially used 2 drum kits, and Danny's kit is pretty extravagant. It's interspersed with 7 mandala pads that he triggers live as just a drum.
What's that?
It's made by this guy named Vince DeFranco, and it's one of the fastest triggering pads. He worked for Roland back in the day, and I think he helped design like the beam.
The B kit?
Well, the actual beam on the keyboard and stuff like that. So he's a super genius guy. And Danny samples, so they would go back to the studio and sample sounds like marxophones and things like that, and tablas, and he actually triggers them in battery live. So not only does he have I wish I had a picture of the drum kit, but he's on this particular album, he had 4 toms, rack tom or roto tom, and 2 floors. But the songs were so long, when we cut them in sections, if a section we wasn't using a wave drum, I would pull the wave drum out, and they would fabricate another tom in there so he can do bigger tom fills. But inside that drum kit are these 7 pads that have zones, and he can play the most musical parts live while he's doing it. So I pump that stuff through a PA while we're tracking to give it cohesion to the kit.
Is it true that you record your toms at a faster speed so that when you play them back, they sound fatter?
Oh, I wish. I've done that before when I've overdubbed toms, but that's what I love the most about tape, and I miss being able to do some of that stuff in Pro Tools. On the previous Tool record, I'd have Maynard sing an octave down and go to 15. That way, when I played it back at 30, it would be an octave up, but the inflections would be different, or you would vary speed, and, stuff we used to do, crazy stuff. And you can't really do much of that in Pro Tools these days. So I'd still try to do it, though. I can go as far as I can go. But it's, tape machine is way easier for that.
That's true. That's true.
your studio, which you've seen pictures of, it feels warm and fuzzy to me. You have so much outboard gear. It reminds me of those good old days where
it's good during the winter.
Because all the heat
All
coming
the
off.
heat, yeah. You don't need a space heater at all.
But it must be bad during the summer. Your electric bill gets high.
Oh my God, $2,800.
Was it Joe's House of Compression? Is that it? Man, what an amazing.
So your carbon footprint's a little big, huh, Joe?
It is. I think about it all the time, believe me, every month.
Do you cut most of your stuff there, your drums and things there, or do you?
I try to do everything there for many reasons. There's a picture right there. Mm-hmm. First of all, it's highly maintained. So not only do I have the gear when it breaks, it's like I can't concentrate until it's fixed.
Until it's fixed, yeah.
So everything.
ADD there.
Yeah. It all works.
The best habit.
For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it sounds like. It's also comfortable. That's one thing I learned working at Sound City. When you walk into a room and you're not thinking about how much money you're spending, you're actually creating music. And then you go into another room and it's maybe 3 times as much money. And you know, and you start thinking, oh my God, if I don't sing today, I'm just wasted.
And I got to get out of here by 6. So,
it's just so it looks like my bedroom when I was 17. There's stuff everywhere, pictures and whatever, It's just so I tried to. The Tool record we did elsewhere, except for the back end and the mixing was all done at my place. Okay. But we tracked the drums at Henson. Mm-hmm. Studio D, which was the first time. All their albums have been done on a Neve, except for 10,000 Days. We cut on an API, and this one we cut through Neve modules on an SSL. Best of both worlds. We talked about that earlier.
Oh yeah.
The fatness of the Neve and the punchiness of the SSL instantly. And then we went to United and cut guitars and bass, and I did the vocals in his bedroom, basically in Arizona, and then some bass and most of those solos and stuff at my studio and touch-ups and mixing.
Recently, even at this late point in my career, I'm really starting to feel the importance of committing. Instead of spending 5 minutes on a hi-hat, spend 2 and commit it, and then it'll grow as the song progresses.
And if you hate
commitment is it's not that bad in Pro Tools. You know what I'm saying? I mean. I think I remember you saying something about commitment. Not commitment, but committing.
Committing, yeah. I'm a firm believer. Believe me, there's some times where I curse myself, or I just wish I hadn't committed, or I might have had the bigger picture clearer. But for the most part, I mean, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Put it down. There's always ways to manipulate.
So you'll record guitar pedals, you'll record effects, everything, just commit it.
That single point source, to me, makes you play different. So even on this record, there are times where, because they don't track to a click, it's human beings, and the delay pedal is always going to have its own thing. So there's times on this Tool record where we might have had 3 Boss delays chained together, and this one would be used for 2 bars, and this would be 1.5 bars, and this would be, and we would actually play the delays while he was playing, because
you committed that.
Oh, totally.
I mean, that's
there's
brave.
Times where I thought I could get a better delay sound later, so I would print a delay on just a separate amp that you could play too, because you play differently, and then I would fabricate it later when I was mixing.
But at this point, why not be fearless?
Yeah.
You only live once, right?
It seems like in life, I'm discovering this a little bit late too, that even in life commitment, nothing can happen until you commit. So that's more important than making a decision, just committing to something. And then, as Herb calls it, you pivot, you see a little opportunity off to the right, you go there, but nothing can happen until you commit.
You get stuff in sometimes where it's not compressed like a vocal because somebody's cutting it at home and they're afraid to compress it. And then you spend more time, like your vocal performance is different because they're not singing to this compression. So I just say, just do it. And then if it's terrible, there's ways to undo it. Yeah. But in the end, even if it's blown out and distorted and crappy, if it sounds like a great performance, no one ever hears that stuff,
Right. Absolutely.
If it sounds intentional.
Yeah. Absolutely. The, 2 things. 1, do you ever work outside the rock genre? And 2, do you only work on things that you like?
I definitely only work on things that I like or stuff that I might be educated doing. I love listening to a lot of different kinds of music. And honestly, the one thing I will say is being in my own world like this, I miss like assisting for you and learning what you do, because that's education for me, and that's what it's all about. And
We
now
don't
that
see
we're
each
all-
other anymore.
Yeah, we're all separated, so I can't say, "Hey, Dave, how did?" Well, I do. I call you up and go, "Hey, Dave, how do I?" And you know, outside the rock genre, it's just music to me. If I like it, I like it.
Love that.
I wish that I would get more stuff that's just way left field, because I think what you can bring to it is kind of cool.
Oh, I think it'd be amazing. Yeah.
But I don't think Streisand's ever gonna call and say, "I got to get that guy who did Slipknot to do my album."
She called earlier. I should return it. She might have been looking for your number.
How do you see? How do you view the health of the rock genre? And in your answer, weave in Greta Van Fleet a little bit.
Well, I mean, for me, everybody says rock's dead. Everybody says rock's dead, but Slipknot was number one 3 weeks ago. Tool was number one 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call Taylor Swift rock, but I mean, she sold 800,000 records in a week. That's a lot of music. I did this band called Volbeat. They were on tour with Slipknot, and they have an incredible career. They never repeat themselves. Very unique singer and band. And they have a number one single on the rock tracks for a couple weeks in a row. So rock is alive and well.
I think people, I used to say that rock was dead, but when I start analyzing it, it feels more like classic rock is dead, but new rock is thriving. You know what I'm saying? And that's a little harsh way to explain it, because classic rock isn't dead.
Greta Van Fleet sounds like Led Zeppelin, so technically it's classic rock. I mean, Airborne sounds like AC/DC, so technically that's classic rock.
The other thing too, to your point, is, or at least from my perspective, is we're using different measuring sticks. And so if you measure rock versus what's going on with hip hop, those are just two different measuring sticks. So in its world, rock has a place that rock aficionados go. Because when we have rock engineers on, they're working.
Yeah.
Like we don't have guys on that aren't working. They're working and they're having success and they're having number one records and so on and so forth. But if your streams aren't this, or if your this isn't that, and that's one of the things that's weird to me about music now, it's over analytics. I was listening to Kobe Bryant the other day, and he was talking about how much basketball analytics screw up basketball.
Yeah.
And like there's so many things that you can't measure. You can't measure a jab step, and you can't measure how that made this. And I think we over measure music. And so it gives you the impression that something's not happening, because compared to this, it is.
Right, look at overall concert ticket sales or something, or however they measure streams.
And there's all these acronyms and shit that they're like, okay, the, track equivalent, all this. Like, please, but one of the things that hasn't changed, that is now about a 10-year success or a 10-year fixture, is a thing called Batter's Box. And you are knocking them out of the park these days, sir. But the cool thing...
let me interrupt you, but the staff for Batter's Box is on strike. So we might have...
Was there a pun there by using on strike? Double entendre.
I'll pretend like I meant that.
Everybody's on strike.
No, see, here's the thing. When you have a long ball hitter, but they're soft-spoken, they'll lull you into sleep. So I expect this to be a massacre.
I can do that for my own self.
No, he's gonna do it for you.
Okay.
So, all right, here we go.
Limiters.
Limitless.
Ooh. Just end the game now.
Thank you.
Don't throw another ball.
Well, I'm the one that's...
You turned me on to that a couple weeks ago. Okay. Yeah, phenomenal. Thanks for doing all the work for me.
Am I getting mixed credit for that?
Every credit.
Okay, good.
Evil Dave Pensado.
No.
Never mind.
Music theory.
Important.
Pedals.
So many. I'm going to still go after Neath, because I turned you on to it, but it's all over the Tool record.
They sent me some stuff. It's incredible. Distortion.
MXR Submachine.
Damn, he's going deep.
Phenomenal.
Tubes.
Ooh. Well, right now I'm using an old Altec power amp with EL34s in it, but I'll say type of tube, I'll go 6L6. That's my favorite.
I like the EL34s in my Marshall.
Could have gone Fee-Way, Bill.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic records.
Stereo bus.
Sontec. So it never changes for me.
Synthesizers.
Arturia.
Ooh. Reverb.
Recent discovery, Relab Sonzig. It's like $99.
I'm using it on everything.
Awesome.
And the color purple is beautiful.
Amazing. And their TC emulation on the other, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's fantastic as well.
Bass.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to say Johnny DI box.
Ooh.
Watch this. Watch this serve a curveball. Kemper Profiler.
Not for me. Although I will say I played it in Sweden. It's good. It sounded great when I saw Apocalyptica play cellos through it. It was awesome, but for me, I don't really need it yet.
Not counting guitar pedals, what's the cheapest piece of equipment you've used on a high-profile song?
Oh man, realistic reverb microphone. A built-in reverb into the mic itself. So AKG made one called, we used to use it on Queens all the time, and that would be our artificial vocal reverb sing into this mic made by AKG. It's actually made by Fender. AKG marketed it, but Realistic has the cheapo version. And then if you can't find that, you just take a handheld mic and shove it through a reverb pedal.
Pretty simple.
You did good. You did good.
Did you expect anything less?
Well, let me see. No, yes, no, yes.
Maybe some of the same ones from last time. A Soundtech on a stereo bus is always, it never changes.
We'll edit some of those answers.
But you're talking about a real one.
Yeah. I keep looking. There's some good emulations. Brainworks, that EQ is pretty decent. And then the Italian company Acustica, they make some cool stuff. I just can't run it with my old system too much, but.
What version of Pro Tools are you on?
I'm on Ultimate, but I'm still using a cheese grater, as they call it. Yeah, old school.
Yeah. Check it out. They got an upgrade for that now that you can actually go all the way to Mojave. You have to buy a new video card called Metal, but Pro Tools Expert's got some tutorials on how to it really works. You can really upgrade.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I'm kind of limited, but it's as far as I need to go right now, and it's stable. That's the...
Yeah, exactly. It's working.
It's working.
Sometimes success happens to the good guys, and it is so cool when it happens to good guys who happen to be phenomenal talents. Ain't nothing evil about you, buddy, except your mixes are just, and the work you do is so incredible. You've been a fantastic friend to the show for all the times. We're here to support you whatever you do, as you do us, man. Dave, take us home, and Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You know what? One of the probably the biggest pleasure I have from this profession that I was blessed to be a part of is the people that are in it. From the executives who get a bad rap. 99% of them are really good people. They're trying to make great records. To the artists who are obviously gifted, but especially the people that I've gotten to meet that before I came here I never thought I would get to meet because I didn't feel like I could raise myself to the level that they would even care or know who I was. And hanging out with Joe is particularly fulfilling because I don't get to do a lot of rock, and I'm at an age where I come from a rock background. And then it morphed into R&B and on and on and on and on. But I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit longer. I want to clarify something. I said that rock was mostly dead, but I realized it's not. Every form of music goes through changes. Like if you look at the original rock and roll, the change from Big Mama Thornton to Elvis was one thing, and then on and on and on and on. And I don't think classic rock is dead. It just morphed into something else. And that something else, as Joe Barresi can prove, is alive and well and doing real good. How many number ones have you had in the last year? 3?
Not really sure. Well, Tool and Slipknot for sure. And
what about Chevelle? When did that come out?
Well, there'll be a number 1 next year when this new one comes out. But Old Beat is doing well. Yeah, great as well.
So strike that sentence in your mind that I said before, because it's alive and doing well in the hands of guys like Joe Barresi. We'll see you next week. Oh, never mind, Joe. Come on.
I will say, Craig Fiddleman produced the Slipknot record, and it's amazing to work with people that know what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. So
Which is what people would say about you.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, guys. See you next time.